The stage was good, yeah.
It's awesome to see, man.
All right, Joe, another trophy coming home.
Yeah, third one, so it's nice to have some more things on the shelf.
Yeah. So how did the sequence feel today?
You know, this whole year, I feel like in baseball terms, I've been like foul tipping. You know, I haven't been behind it once, but to be honest, especially beginning of the year, you know, wasn't sleeping, learning what it's like to be a new dad, especially a twin baby. So I think I was in really good shape this whole year, but my form took a long time to get behind. But I was glad I was able to compete and get by the way it was. And these past 2 weeks, really since Budapest, I feel like we actually started to lock in training like the first 2 weeks before that. So I finally got a good rhythm, finally got behind the ball. I'm glad that this past week, I shouldn't say I'm glad, because the reason I stayed in Italy for that last meet, our twins got COVID. So I was only supposed to be away for 6 days, and it turned out being away for, I think, 18 days now, because I didn't go home because they had COVID and Ashley was taking care of the babies. That's why she's not here. So the whole plan was the family is supposed to be here, but at least I get to bring home some hardware for them to play with.
Yeah.
When you think about how long it kind of took you to kind of ramp into being comfortable again from a different training situation than you'd ever experienced before, how much confidence does this give you going into next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think this whole year my mentality was to like learn what it was like. You know, I felt this year I didn't feel like I had to prove anything in that same way of like, I've had a bunch of medals before. Last year I had the best statistical year of my life. So it was just like, I wanted to learn how to do it this year. I didn't want to half-ass to be like, I'm worried about training and not worried about being a dad. I was a dad full-time this year. Obviously, these past 2 weeks not being with them sucked because that wasn't the plan, but them getting sick was also not part of the plan. But I'm glad I was able to be there full-time. I went to every single track with Asher this year, and that wasn't fun to drive to Gainesville, drive to Ole Miss, drive everywhere, but at the same time we did it together, and that was the plan, and I loved every minute of it. But, you know, training suffered a little bit, but I knew I was strong. And I'm glad that I had my strength and experience in the back pocket. So when things were a little ugly, like USA's and even Worlds, I knew I could kind of punch a line drive to get by and get a medal and keep it going. But that's certainly not what I want to do. And today was nice to have a good series. You know, obviously a win and a far throw is fun to do, but it's also fun to see like a far throw that you miss, because that's what gets you excited to keep on training for the next time. Because honestly, next year is, you know, I want to put the eggs in one basket. You know, Ashley stepped down from her job at Vanderbilt and she's putting our family first. And part of that is me putting the eggs in the basket to really focus on my training, because I feel like I've